Start recording. Stop recording. Button.
Very good.
Yeah, so,
Very good.
this is Blind Adam of the Awesome Sauce Comics podcast. I'm here with the legend, the greatest interviewer in all of comic book podcastdom, Captain Word Balloon himself, John Centers. How you doing, buddy?
I'm alright, Captain Anthony. It's a pleasure to talk to you. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. Can't complain. I had a nice family dinner. I celebrated my sister-in-law's birthday, so I'm happy about that.
Very nice. Excellent. Fantastic. It was a quiet day at Chez Suntress, just hanging out and getting stuff done around the house.
That will be me.
Good day.
That will be me tomorrow.
Attaboy.
Yeah. So
The comic world treating you.
it's treated me pretty good. I've been doing a couple of bunch of reviews and a bunch of rants and raves, but I haven't had. I've been interview drive for like solid 2 months.
Wow. Okay. I thought I was bad. I haven't posted an interview since I put up a Bendis conversation from March, and I had a bunch of technical problems through the end of the month that literally just got fixed this week, so I'm up and running again as well. In fact, I have an interview. After we're done with our conversation, I'll be doing an interview tonight as well.
Sweet. I've had a bunch of feelers, but no follow-throughs yet.
Okay. I bank up during the holidays, knowing that everyone is running around, and, certainly freelancers, even more so, will, sometimes even take a week off or whatever. So I banked a bunch of shows in December, and then had a little bit of activity right at the beginning of January. And then, like I said, I had this technical snafu. But tonight I'm talking to Robert Meyer Burnett, who is the film director. He did Free Enterprise, that William Shatner movie from 1999.
Very nice.
In the day, with was it Eric McCormick from Will and Grace?
I think so.
Okay. He's involved in that Star Trek fan film, Axanar. He's the director. And he was the editor on the Prelude to Axanar fan film that's out there on YouTube. And do you know about that? That, Star Trek was suing these guys and everything and trying to keep them from doing their fan films?
Yep.
So there you go. They reached a settlement. And the Axanar guys are going to follow these new fan guidelines that Star Trek has put out and everything. And I just want to get an update with them because I'm a big fan of Prelude to Axanar, and I'm looking forward to whatever they're able to create under these new Star Trek rules.
Yeah, I mean, I had a buddy who got into similar trouble with Deadpool fan films with Marvel a few years back.
Oh, really? Did they act? Did they cease and desist him?
Yep.
Interesting. Because why? That's really interesting. I mean, are there fan film rules
I guess
that Marvel has and stuff?
I guess so. It may have been Fox. I just know that the guy who runs Blinky Productions was at a convention. He was actually set up trying to getting people to sign a protest to get his Deadpool fan film back online.
Wow. There are them that exist, and it seems like, they're, for the most part, especially if they're real homemade looking and everything, usually people are cool. Is it a really good movie?
Yeah, it was alright.
Alright. Well, anyway, let's talk about what you want. I feel like I'm slowing the conversation.
No, that's fine, because I'm actually almost caught up with all your recent stuff. I still have to listen to the Liefeld interview, but I did finish the latest Bendis tapes.
Oh, okay. And did you hear Tom King?
No, I did not, and just ran out of time.
Okay, yeah, no worries. I'm really pleased with it. Tom has found his way into the inner sanctum in terms of being one of those guys like Greg Rucka or Fraction, or when, it's been a while since I've talked to Brubaker, but, those guys like Bendis, that it's like, all right, we'll sell the product, but also what's going on? What do you like?
Yeah, but at this point, aren't you a member of the Bendis family at this point?
Honestly, I'm sure it seems like that online. He's as good a friend as he can be with me in the Midwest and he in Oregon. I mean, he's great. I mean, we just literally do. I feel like Bobby Brady on the Brady Bunch with Joe Namath. You know, it's like, oh yeah, he comes to dinner whenever he's in town for the big game. But the reality is, honestly, it's like we're both at a convention, we see each other. I honestly can't think of a time that we haven't seen each other where a convention hasn't been involved. But again, he has really been, beyond being a supporter, really become a very nice friend of what I'm trying to do, and it really means a lot. And I mean, honestly, I've had my down times where I'm a little frustrated and stuff, and it's because of creators like Brian, and truly Greg Rucka is right there on that list as well. You know, in terms of just really guys that it's like, no, what do you need? Like, how can I help you? So that's cool. That's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know. Am I a journalist? I don't think I'm a journalist. I think I'm more of an entertainment host. So I don't feel bad as far as any sort of, you know, hey, aren't you cozying up a little too close to the people that you're talking to? And it's like, I don't know. I just think we all like the same stuff, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's like he appreciates what I do, just like I appreciate what he does.
And actually, the chemistry really comes off nicely on air, too.
Cool. No, that's fair. Honestly, again, it's absolutely genuine. We texted each other this week because we're trying to set up a new talk. Because he was even like, wow, that's cool that, you know, people seem to really like this 10-month-old conversation we had. Because really, we're talking about, like, it was just after the Oscars, and it's right before Batman v Superman comes out, and he is previewing Civil War, which I think is very interesting to hear now that Civil War is done. And really, it's very interesting to hear what they hope it will be and what it becomes. You know what I mean?
Alright. What did you think of Civil War 2?
I liked it enough, and I think it was okay. I just, Marvel is so, like, you feel like you've been blindfolded and gagged and taken in a van and drive somewhere in the middle of a strange city where you're like, alright, I kind of know, alright, there's a McDonald's, I'm not really sure where I am, but there's enough familiar things around. It's so funny, I'm sure you've heard that, you know, they're putting out this, like, Marvel Age kind of publication, I don't know what they're going to call it, to kind of explain the current status quo. And it's just like, okay, maybe there's a problem here. I can't say I'm not entertained, because I am. And I don't mind I roll my eyes and say, all right, fine, whatever. Put a character on the shelf. They've done it in different ways over the years, and I've got no problem with that. So I liked it. Like I said, I liked it enough. But I do think that, they're throwing too much crap on the walls. Can I swear? I don't know. I can't remember.
I guess you haven't listened to my podcast in quite some time. You're talking to Brian Adam, the comic pimp, and you're asking if you could swear.
Right. All right, so they fling shit on the wall, and, you know, it's too much shit. It's not, I don't know where the wall is anymore. I mean, seriously, it's very confusing in terms of where all the characters are and why.
Let's see, this is the two things that really got to me.
What two things?
The Iron Man reveal was spoiled.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the fact that they killed off Bruce Banner.
I agree with both of those, but again, I think that's on purpose to make you feel, and we'll see how permanent that is. I wouldn't worry.
However,
Didn't the hand resurrect the Hulk already?
yep.
Alright, well, there you go. Well, that's fine. So cool. You know.
And then Brother Voodoo took his soul back.
What's that?
And then I think Brother Voodoo took his soul back at the end of that.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, you know, that's fine. I'm not a big fan of, like, every other week somebody has to die for a story to matter. But also, by the same token, that's kind of, you know, he didn't really die. It's just like Tim Drake in DC. Oh my God, they killed Tim Drake. No, they didn't. Mr. Oz has him. Everything's fine.
Dr. Amandius has him.
Is that like Dr. Can he really be? They should make him Dr. Oz. And he could be as irresponsible as TV's Dr. Oz. And stuff and tell us about crazy stuff and, you know, quackery that poses as medicine.
That would work. Actually, I'm more a DC guy than I am a Marvel guy right now.
I would agree with that. I definitely would agree with that. There's a real disconnect with the second and third tier books at Marvel compared to what's happening in the big events. It's to the point where it's like, you know, whatever. I mean, and in some ways that's good because I think you're getting interesting stories. But I also think because they're not connected to the big events, then the good runs in too quickly. Mockingbird obviously is a good example. Stuff that David Walker was doing with Nighthawk and things. And again, there are other books that replace them that, hopefully will be interesting to the audience. And I think David Walker continues to do interesting work regardless. But yeah, I get that. And yeah, I agree with you. I am reading more DC Rebirth books currently than I'm reading Marvel books.
Let's see, I just finished Suicide Squad versus Justice League, and it was an event book that didn't feel like an event book.
Was it a good event? Did you feel like, you were entertained?
I was more than entertained.
Oh, that's good to know. Because I blew it off where I'm just like, all right, I'll find out what the hell happens afterwards and everything. So what the hell happened?
Yeah, just basically it's, a new Justice League gets formed. You get old school Lobo back.
Cool. Yeah, I heard about that. He's got a Suicide Squad now. Logo.
Yeah. Yep. They're preparing Killer Frost to be an A-list character in the books.
Good.
It just felt like old school DC Comics.
I hear what you're saying. I think Rebirth has kind of lived up to the hype, so that's good. So is the new Justice League, is that Steve Orlando's Justice League?
Yeah.
Cool. That's great. I talked to Steve earlier in December, and, okay. All right, well, then I'll check it out when it's in trade.
Yeah,
God only knows how many years it'll take. I don't know. Actually, they're on a good schedule right now. I know the first Rebirth story arcs are already out in trade.
Let's see. What are you thinking of the indie landscape right now?
What am I reading? I am reading Hickman's, and now I can't find it in front of me to tell you the...
Is that the Seven to Eternity?
No, that's Remender, and I do like that. Remender and Opeña, what a great team. I mean, that's the thing. I think if it's a good team, it's going to be a good book. Lemire and Snyder's right now. What's that?
After Death.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I have not read the second volume yet, but it's sitting there to be read. I got involved with some other projects that I'm doing, not comics but podcast-wise, so it's cut into my current reading time. But I'm also reading the Black Monday. What's Hickman's?
Hey, I think it is Black Monday.
Came out on trade. I'm sorry?
I think it's Black Monday.
Yeah, but it's longer than that. Then I should look it up. I'll look it up while we're talking.
Black Monday, something murder, something like that.
Yeah, dossier murders or something,
Of course, my favorite indie is Reborn right now.
Yeah, Black Monday Murders.
Yep.
Black Monday Murders. Which one did you just say is your favorite?
Reborn. Mark Miller.
Who's Reborn again? Tell me.
Mark Miller.
Oh, is that with Capullo?
Yep.
Haven't had a chance to look at that yet. And you're liking that?
I'm loving it.
That's cool. Mark knows how to, I think, I liked Hawkeye, really. I loved Chrononauts. There's rarely a Miller book that I don't like. And, I just haven't gotten to it yet. I love, of course, Jupiter's Legacy and whatever Jupiter's other thing is, Circle. Big fan, stuff like that. And what else can I say? Curse Words. I enjoyed the first issue that Charles Soule and my buddy Ryan Brown had put out there. I think that's an excellent book.
Let's see, I actually didn't read Curse Words yet, and me and Charles are having a little bit of a Facebook debate. Nothing serious. I'm trying to see. I'm actually trying to consult with him as a blank consultant for Daredevil.
Interesting. I gotta tell you, man, I love his Daredevil run, and I am late to the game, but I caught up for it with my interview with him, and my God, I think he's a fantastic Daredevil run.
I'm really digging the run, but every now and then I'll see something that
Jive with being blind.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, man. No, that's good. I think that's fine. I think that's excellent information that I'm sure he would appreciate.
Yeah, and like I said, we've tried setting up an interview, just scheduling with him.
It is hard, and I mean, we went a couple years between conversations, and there's as I'm sure it happens with you, and I don't know which creators you've become friendly with over the years, but it's God, I love conventions, and I'm sure most people feel this way. They go, it's like the summer camp that never ends, and so sometimes you see creators that you're friendly with or whatever, and it's like, oh, I just saw him in March. Now realizing, yeah, but you haven't had him on the podcast for a year and a half. And it's like, oh, Jesus.
Actually,
Kind of halfway Charles, where it's like, yeah, let's do something, yes, and then we both get busy, and then suddenly we realize it's close to a year.
Actually, it's kind of funny you mentioned that, because today I butt dialed Sam Jones. And I got his voicemail, and he called me back, and he's like, "This is Sam, you just called me," and I'm like, "I'm so sorry, Mr. Jones, I butt dialed you."
That's hilarious.
He's like, "No problem, goodbye."
That's really great. You butt dialed me. Come on, man.
Yeah, that was just
very cool. I really wanted to talk to him last year with the anniversary and everything. And hope to still have the chance, because we know a couple of common people that I can get in touch with him and everything, and I hear he's a great interview.
Actually, I can send an email to him on your behalf if you like.
Well, thanks, man. Sure. I wouldn't turn it down, but like I said, I got other guys as well that again, it's me, having the time too to kind of commit to it and everything.
Yeah, like I said, I have him on my speed dial.
Well, obviously.
I never thought doing this podcast, him and I would become friends.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Give me your celebrity list where you're like, wow, I can't believe I've met X.
Let's see.
You've met one of them. You've met a lot more celebrities than I have.
Let's see. Well, Holland's probably my favorite.
Cool.
The actress that plays Thea Queen, I gave her a Special Olympics medal. Just as a goof. I quoted the Golden Retriever Awards on behalf of the blind community for having the sexiest voice in all Hollywood. And I hand it to her, she starts crying, and she has me pin it on her neck to the point where I got the cop a feel.
I was going to say nice, and then of course you told me the rest of the story, so there you go, dude, very nice.
And that wasn't even what I was trying. Then I saw her about a year later at another convention it's the one that Stephen Amell actually has I guess he's part owner of.
Yeah.
And she gave me the biggest hug, and she's just like, I still have the medal, and I was like, wait till next year. Because
Meryl Streep or Catherine Hepburn, where she'll win, she'll have all of your medals and stuff. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, because basically I want to try to make this the Golden Retriever thing a yearly thing, and then have a trophy made and all that.
Now, what does it? Now, I understand she had the sexiest voice in Hollywood. Will it always be for the sexiest voice, or is there other possibility? That's like the Nobel.
Actually, I think I'll keep it just for the sexiest voice for right now.
And why is it? It's called the what?
The sexiest voice in all Hollywood. It's called the Golden Retriever Award.
What's it? Say it again.
It's called the Golden Retriever.
Yeah, the Golden.
Well, it's a breed of seeing eye dog.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. Oh, that's very cool, man. See, there you go. So there's my ignorance to your community, and I appreciate the education. Thank you. Because really, I'm like, okay, that's specific of a dog. That's cool, man. That's fantastic.
To me, it was a one-off joke at a convention I made to a friend of mine as we were trading comic books back and forth.
Did you pick up the medal at like one of the tables at the convention?
No, it was an actual Special Olympics medal that I won in the Special Olympics.
Oh wow! Oh, that's really nice, Adam. That's very cool because I'm like. I went to Party City. I grabbed this medal. Excuse me, I didn't realize that you get. That's really nice. Jesus. Well, how many of those do you have that you're going to be able to give away, or are you going to have to find a different?
I actually have a buddy who works for the Special Olympics who can hook me up.
That's back up the I gotta call Rich Johnson. This is good.
Actually, Rich, I actually gotta get. When I do one of my interviews, I actually should send it over to Rich.
Yeah, why not?
I'm trying to interview Axel Braun, the guy who does all the superhero porn parodies.
No, I didn't. That's awesome. I know a guy that watched it. That was on set for a couple shoots. There you go. Yeah. I'm the fluffer. How you doing? No, that's really cool. That's excellent. And what kind of guy is he like?
He actually made the Suicide Squad porn parody.
Okay.
And
has he done the other ones as well? Or
yeah.
Any specific ones to the Suicide Squad?
He's done everything from the 1966 Batman. He did the Superman vs. Spider-Man one.
Fantastic.
Where he actually took
I've only seen the 66 Batman, and I do appreciate the level of accuracy with sets and things like that. Because believe me, I watched it as well with a group of friends in a bachelor party like setting, and it's like, all right, now you got to appreciate, like, look at that, man, not just the Shakespeare, but look, even the libraries. The commissioner's office is perfect. Yeah, what about the girl? I'm very impressed with Chief O'Hara's uniform. I got to be honest. It was very, so I've seen that one, so that's cool. And it's good. I'm sure the Suicide Squad one is possibly better than the actual Suicide Squad movie one.
Yes, it was. I actually, the clips I saw on YouTube, no, the two clips I played for my podcast on YouTube, I was like, Hollywood, why don't you just hire this guy?
That's hilarious. Good for him, man. Hey, seriously, I hope those are the kind of things that, let him graduate the way, a few porn stars have been able to graduate to regular movies.
Yeah, like I said, just the costumes alone, I'm just like, why are these parody movies have better costumes than $1 million budget movies?
Yeah, man. Hey, we call that art direction in Hollywood. That's that's fantastic. I believe it is like the art director that ultimately is above the costumers and makeup and obviously sets and everything in terms of making everything look right, and that is really important in film and television. So and even porn. So that's great.
Like I said, because I was trying to see what parodies recently came out, and I was just like, this is cool, and I did a whole 20-minute segment on it.
Well, I've been aware of them as they've come out, the adventure movies, and so that's cool. I've seen the bad stuff on Cinemax, late at night.
Don't remind me. I have a couple of my friends who actually acted in those, so-called acted in those things.
Fantastic. Spider-Horn. I'm a newsboy in Spider-Horn. How you doing?
Actually, it's Lord of the G-Strings. I actually have one of my female cohorts who actually is in that, and I was just like, I want my $20 back.
There you go, man. You are Conrad Hilton. You are America's nerd guest. If you're hanging out with the Lord of the G-String people, that's very good.
I'm just like, I was like, where's my $20? Where's that at the hour of my life that you owe me? So what do you think of the Extreme universe getting this movie deal?
Well, I'll tell you, it depends on what characters they take, and I was never a Rob Liefeld reader of Youngblood or any of that stuff. I was aware of his stuff, and some of his art I liked, and some of it I didn't. And I didn't get into his characters until the recent Image reboot of a lot of them. And all of a sudden, you had really interesting, retakes of some of these original concepts. And so, if they get guys like, wasn't it Prophet? Prophet was great. Glory was really great. I think Youngblood, given where things are, and certainly, I would say Powers kind of, it started with Youngblood, and then I think Powers kind of did the superheroes in a real world and kind of elevated the game with their run and stuff. And given that stuff is out there, and what's happened since, I think Youngblood would be a very interesting concept for a movie. I don't know if that's included in the Extreme deal or not.
See, that's the one thing I wasn't sure about.
When I talked to Rob, he was up, the possibilities of Youngblood, as a film or as a television series. And I agree with that. So why not? Again, it all depends what you do with it, man. On the surface, Lori Petty as Tank Girl should have worked a lot better than it did back in the 90s.
Agreed.
Oh boy, is, I thought, one of the most pleasant surprises of the last 17 years as far as comic book movies go. And, that's the thing. You see Guardians of the Galaxy. The Guardians of the Galaxy is a perfect example of why not, actually. Because, there's a bunch of sea-level heroes that nobody gives a shit about. And they put it together with the right writers and stuff and directors, and it's a fun movie. And you would have thought that Suicide Squad, and I'm sure we all, the entire geek audience, thought that, it's a no-brainer. Okay, fine, you're gonna, you keep the cool stuff of what made Ostrander's run what it was, and even when Gale was essentially doing it with Secret Six and everything.
My arch nemesis gal.
What's that?
I said my arch nemesis gal Simone.
She's quite the writer.
Yes, she is.
That said, no, but and then the movie comes out and it sucks, and it's like, how could you miss?
I guess I'm in the minority.
Writer and director.
Am I in the minority of the people that actually enjoyed Suicide Squad?
No, actually, I know a couple other podcasters that feel the same way, and certainly the box office proved it in terms of, it stayed in there a hell of a lot longer. Although, again, that's good timing because you put it in late summer, and you don't really have any movies until the Halloween, season kind of ramps up, and even then, it doesn't seem like they're, spitting out movies the way they did a couple of years ago for Halloween. So all that said, Suicide Squad just endured, and I think the audience word of mouth equaled the negative feelings from it. No, I was disappointed. I was very disappointed. But again, I know people that are podcasters whose opinions I respect that really liked it, and it's like, okay, you had fun, awesome, congrats.
I was kind of mixed. I mean, I was expecting more, but the things I wanted to see that I was expecting to like, I really liked.
See, for me, it was just the logic of the movie. It just didn't make sense from step one. And I get, you're watching people fly around and you can't suspend your belief or whatever. And it's like, no, this story didn't make sense. I didn't understand it. I don't understand Amanda Waller sending them out to a mission to, save her without telling them. It was stupid. The reasons why she kept it secret didn't make sense to me. It's a hodgepodge movie, and it looks like stuff was left out. And even that extended cut, which is only, 7 minutes longer or 13 minutes longer?
I think it was like 5.
But there you go. But still, it was less frustrating than the first cut of Batman Superman, but it wasn't much better than that.
So where do you see the future of the DC Extended Universe then? Because
I think everything's fine. It can all be fixed with one good movie. I mean, Marvel's had a couple missteps. I mean, Age of Ultron should have been better. And then there are people that are kind of like, with Thor 2. I like the second Thor movie actually a lot. I love the second.
I haven't watched it since I saw it in the theaters. I'd have to rewatch it.
And Iron Man 2 certainly has, I think gotten a negative rap over the years. I don't remember hating it when I saw it, and I thought it was fine for a second movie. Certainly 3 was better than 2. So whatever. I mean, I have to admit, I'm pretty positive on all or I'd say 90% of the Marvel movies. Age of Ultron I thought was just a little net, and I still haven't seen, because it got such bad word of mouth, X-Men Apocalypse for Fox.
You and me both.
Surprising, because it seemed like they were going in the wrong direction with the X-Men movies, and then Days of Future Past and First Class, and then Days of Future Past, I thought were both incredibly good movies, and then all of a sudden they got another misstep. So it can happen, but I also think one movie can fix all of that. I don't know if it's going to be Justice League, frankly, because I think Zack Snyder has kind of shown that his style is so. I can't blame a filmmaker for sticking to their guns and saying, no, it's my movie, I'm going to make it my way. But I have to say that I'm more disappointed in Zack Snyder movies than happy of them. And I liked Watchmen. I thought Watchmen. I still like Watchmen. I think Watchmen's a very good movie.
I actually, every time I watch Watchmen, I watch the ultimate extended cut, which is like almost 5 hours.
I have it on DVD, but I'll admit when it's on, sometimes when it's on network TV, I have to admit if anything that gets interrupted by commercials, I don't have the patience. But when it comes to films.
Yeah.
But that said and everything, I still watch scenes from Watchmen when they're on and I'm flipping by, and I own that ultimate cut as well, and I like it. It's a shame that it wasn't made into an HBO TV series the way that obviously Westworld works so well. And God, even right now, the Young Pope, I am like so into the Young Pope. It is incredibly good.
I am gonna have to check that out.
All in my mind, I am not a Catholic person. I thought that Frontline years ago did an amazing expose on Vatican City, and I see flavors of that in this television show, and I am really riveted, and I'm like, wow, this is really interesting, and I'm glad that it's on TV, because, I mean, right, isn't it interesting how television is really the better medium for storytelling, and I think outside of, our gimmicky blockbusters that we all love as far as sci-fi movies and the like, I really think Hollywood is having a difficult time telling a short 2-hour story anymore of real weight. I mean, the nominees will be out and everything, and we're on the. I guess the nominees are out. We'll see what happens at the Oscars.
I have a challenge out for anyone to anyone in the Awesome Sauce Comics audience or the Word Balloon audience. If La La Land wins the Oscar for Best Picture, I will throw a pizza lap dance party.
Will you throw a lap dance party?
I'll throw a pizza and lap dance party if La La Land wins.
I kind of think it's a lock. I think much like what was it? See, I can't even remember the artist. Remember the artist a couple of years ago? I bet I have a feeling La La Land's going to be like the artist. It just it'll be Best Picture. Do you remember the artist?
Yeah, I do.
So that's the thing. I think Hollywood loves when they celebrate themselves through their past, and But I mean, that's the thing. Just like in, I think, as good as some of the superhero films have been in the last year, I also think that the television is kicking the movie's asses in terms of telling much more interesting stories.
I would like to see Deadpool win an Oscar for Best Marketing.
It is surprising they don't have a category called Best Marketing.
Yeah, I mean, if there was, Deadpool would have the Oscar. I mean, the marketing strategy for Deadpool was amazing.
Well, and again, but at the bottom of that was a really good movie. I mean, a really entertaining, fun movie that Lightfell and I talk about this, and it's true. It's like that's like the perfect movie to take your date, and she'll have a fun story along with the fact that you're enjoying this head-banging, ballista to head kind of action movie and stuff. And at the core of it is this they have chemistry. Miranda Bacardin and Ryan Reynolds. I mean, they do. It's cute.
Yeah.
And it's raunchy, but it's funny.
Actually, some of my favorite interaction was between the actress that played Sonic Warhead and Deadpool.
That's cool. Yeah, in the movie, yeah. Oh my God, no, they were great together.
Yeah.
And even CGI Colossus, as cheap as it looked, it was funny. So I mean, that's the thing. It kind of T.J. Miller was great. I mean, everything. The cast was great. The writing was really funny. You saw it in the opening credits that the film was, this was going to be a fun ride, and it was going to have that kind of almost Blazing Saddles sort of comic sensibility, and that's going to be interesting because like everyone was anticipating, I think, Suicide Squad to be a Guardians ripoff, and I know we're all kind of nervous about what that next R-rated movie that tries to be the next Deadpool, if it's going to be funny or not, and especially even Deadpool 2 with is it Tim Miller was the director?
No, I think Tim Miller's out.
No, I saying, but he was, and yeah, the fact that he is out, I just wanted to make sure that he was the director of Deadpool, and yeah, I mean, so yeah, let's see if they're able to do it without Tim Miller, and that's a huge question.
Yeah, actually, I think the next R-rated comic book movie is going to be Logan.
Well, that's true, but that's not going to try to be wacky. I mean, at least it doesn't, with the exception of, I guess, that second trailer that we saw with him and the girl in...
Is that the one with them in the convenience store?
Yeah, exactly. So, I've talked about this with film critics, and what do you think? I think it's interesting that all these movies are producer-driven versus director-driven. And we see that all the time. In fact, I guess this week, wasn't it announced that the Flash movie is getting a, page one rewrite?
Again?
Yeah, I mean, so... But isn't it interesting that I think it is more producer-driven, the way the Bond films always have been, but that, really, in these movies and stuff, yeah, it's really more the producer calling the shots than the director calling the shots. And when there's, obviously a difference of opinion, the director walks. And it happens a lot on these movies, so clearly the power base is in the producers.
Which makes me nervous, because it's kind of giving the chief chef a little too much power.
Well, or is it, it depends, because in the case of Marvel, well, at least I felt this way before they kicked the committee off. And maybe I'm biased because I like guys that were on the committee.
Same here.
Joe Quesada. But honestly, I think I get it with Marvel movies because I do believe that, given that it is Marvel characters, that they kind of get them, just in the same way that the Bond producers had really shaped Bond in specific ways. And it's like, no, we're confident in our portrayal of the character. Come and make a movie with us and we'll collaborate. But yeah, ultimately we do have the final say. And that really does, at least in terms of traditional Hollywood, Hitchcock movies were Hitchcock movies. They weren't, oh God, and now I'm blanking on his name, the guy from Universal, Lou Wasserman. They weren't Lou Wasserman movies, even though he was the producer or the production guy. They were Hitchcock movies, John Ford, all the classics, even, to Coppola and Spielberg and the like. So isn't it interesting now that it's, and also where they're getting these directors from, I think is interesting as well. Now, the Russo brothers seem to have the magic formula because they're able to work with the producers and still get their vision out there, and we saw it in Winter Soldier and we saw it in Civil War.
In Civil War, I thought Civil War was the best superhero movie of the year.
Oh, hands down. Absolutely. It's interesting though. So I'm psyched for Logan, and I'll be interested to see what it how it turns out. And it's coming off of a bad spinoff or sequel.
Yeah.
2 bad sequels, really, I guess.
Yeah, 3 if you want to count in Apocalypse as well.
There you go. Is Jackman in Apocalypse?
I think he had a cameo.
Okay. Well, was it like his first class appearance, which was funny, but very brief?
I don't know. It's like you and I wouldn't.
Either. Okay.
Because I heard so much bad stuff about it. I was like, you know what?
I hear it. And isn't that interesting? And isn't that a change? Because I'm sure, much like me, when you and I, years ago and stuff, hell, we saw every superhero movie when it came out.
I thought.
Do you worry about oversaturation?
Yes, I do.
Of superheroes?
As a podcaster and as a retailer, I worry very much about oversaturation.
Tell me why. Are you seeing it in your store?
I'm seeing it just in the comic book community in general.
Don't forget the mass audience is bigger than the comic book community in general.
Yeah.
And I also think, because this is another theory that I've been floating out there in my last few shows. I don't know if you've heard me talk about it. I kind of think the superhero movie is going to be okay. We might get less, but I don't think it's going to go away the way some genres, there's like a fascination for a while, and then, like roller boogie movies. I don't think comic book films have to worry will endure the way the Western has endured. And I really do think that we're still figuring out more creative ways of telling comic book stories in film and television beyond the standard story, gimmicks, origin story, big bad, the basics of those things. And I think Daredevil was I keep saying Daredevil. I think Deadpool was his first step into doing something different. I think Ant-Man successfully did something different. And and even Winter Soldier and Civil War, and I think more so Winter Soldier, because God, that was like when I was talking to Bendis about it. He's like, all I can tell you is thank 3 Days of the Condor for the next Captain America movie, and I'm like, okay, and I get it, and that's exactly what we got. It was like, that's fantastic. That's very cool. Or North by Northwest, if you're a Hitchcock fan.
Yeah.
But essentially, we know the hero is so innocent, and yet the government's coming after, the good guys are coming after him, the police are coming after him just as much as the bad guys.
Yeah, you see, I'm a bigger supporter of the comic book stuff on the small screen than I am the big screen.
Well, it's better.
The Netflix stuff is phenomenal. I was at the Defenders panel at New York Comic Con, and I could have sworn the way the audience reacted, I could have sworn I was in a WWE event.
Well, then, let's be honest, man. I mean, they're preaching to the choir, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. Hey, are you kidding? Let's not forget the Stadium Rock response to, and I can't remember the actor's name, but it was to hype Batman v Superman, and him quoting from Miller's Dark Knight. The classic scene.
That was Henry Cavill who did it.
And don't get me wrong, I think Defenders is going to be great, because I do think that they know what they're doing with those Netflix shows. But yeah, you can't judge by that.
That's true. I just hope that.
I'm just saying that, like, we're excited. I mean, come on. It's like, hey, the next animated DC movie is going to be the Judas Contract. Yes, finally. Oh my God. And then we'll see how they do adapting it. I do think that the direct-to-animation or direct-to-streaming and DVD DC animated movies have been great lately.
I still have to watch Jail at Dark. I had a problem.
It just came out. I haven't had a chance to see it yet either.
I had a problem uploading it onto my phone or my computer. I didn't want to play nice. But how are they?
By streaming? Or did they send it to you?
I had a friend of mine who has a friend who works for DC but how are they going to explain that Slade Wilson is basically with a 16-year-old girl in Judas Contract?
Well, I wouldn't count on that being there necessarily.
Yeah. And I got that straight from Mark Wolfman's mouth.
That it's in there, or that it's not in there?
No, that is confirmed that, that she was only 15. She was in the tub with Slade.
Right, and again, that's why let's see what they do with it on the film. We'll see, because the negative reaction to Killing Joke, I think they heard it, and I think they'll. It depends, I guess, how far into production they were with Judas Contract, and I honestly don't know, and I don't even know how long these things take, really, from whenever they decide to start animating to when it's done. So I'm not really sure exactly where it was in production and stuff like that. I mean, we know that the second Caped Crusader movie, they've already voiced it. And Shatner's going to be in,
Two-Face.
The second Batman 66 movie is Two-Face, exactly. So,
I'm actually Adam West versus William Shatner. I'm actually looking forward to that.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. Oh man, and really, Mike Jelinek and James Tucker, I've been fans of theirs since Batman Brave and Bold, and they were the showrunners and principal writers on that show, and I think they showed once again with Return of the Caped Crusaders and stuff that they know what they're doing. They're funny. Did you ever see? I always throw this out there for people if they don't know and want a good geek cartoon that they might have missed. Have you seen that Scooby-Doo movie? Where it is like Revenge or Return of the Blue Falcon? Set at a comic convention.
I have it on DVD. It's my favorite outside of the WWE ones. It's my favorite Scooby-Doo one.
There you go. Absolutely, man, and it's funny, and it's really good, and I mean, so many Easter eggs as they're walking around the convention, and you pay attention to the different booths. I mean, it's great, and it's really good. And God, even my buddy Heath Corson, I think, scored with the Tom and Jerry Johnny Quest crossover, and believe me, I'm like, God, I hope this is not bad, because I really like Heath, and I don't want him to write a bad movie. And I'm like, oh, this is actually funny, and especially the first 10 minutes of the movie, which are pure Tom and Jerry. And it's great, and it's like MGM, 1940s Tom and Jerry. It's not that crappy.
So it's racist to the blind?
When they're friends.
So,
just kind of like,
good, you got the joke.
Happy. What's that?
I always say that Tom and Jerry is racist to the blind.
Oh, no. Well, just the maid, but that was,
No, I'm talking, it's a silent cartoon. I can't enjoy it.
You're right. I'm sorry. You're right about that. And it is done in pantomime these first 10 minutes, and then it gets into a Johnny Quest, and it is a legitimate Johnny Quest, and the animals don't talk, and they've got little interactions with Bandit while they're trying to solve the big mystery. But it's good. It is good, and it's a decent Johnny Quest, and it's a very good Tom and Jerry. But unfortunately, it is very visual. So
that's fine. I'm sure eventually that stuff will all be in audio descriptive.
I hear you, man. Hey, have you, as a geek fan and stuff like that, I'm sure you've heard all those, like the Kingdom Come audio and Nightfall and
graphic audio actually finally get back to me, and they're like, we're not sponsoring podcasts at this time. We really thank you for the heartfelt letter. Because I just said, hey, as a visually impaired comic book fan, thank you for help. Thank you for this with it. Because it was like an entire 2-week period when I discovered it that no one heard from me.
Okay.
Because every one of those audiobooks is like 5 hours long.
They absolutely are. They're amazing. But honestly, the stuff I was talking about was pre-graphic audio. I think BBC might have created that.
Yeah, all those stuff too. I mean, the Superman Doomsday, the Batman Nightfall, Kingdom Come. There's also
there's a Spider-Man one. I haven't heard it.
Yeah, I got there's a Spider-Man. I have it on my YouTube library somewhere.
That's cool. I'm also very impressed with the people that take the graphic novels and create audio dramas behind them and do them like a slideshow and everything. God, those are great.
Yeah, someone did
Killing Joke, I'll admit, is superior to the animated Killing Joke we got this summer.
I didn't have any, and I got dirty looks at the theater when I applauded during the bat sex scene.
Like a fart in church.
Fantastic, man. I actually think
I felt the same way. I wasn't offended. I didn't applaud, but I wasn't offended by it. And dude, what are you gonna do? There's just this group of the audience that are as single-minded about the way those characters were depicted in the Batman animated series that it's like to even suggest anything else is insulting. And the same thing goes with we saw it with Teen Titans, who the group that grew up on the original animated Teen Titans cartoon, and then they got upset when New 52 happened and Starfire's all sexified and sexing up Red Hood and all this stuff, and oh my God, just the outrage! How dare you? Starfire was a pure 12-year-old character, and it's like, really? Because 15 years ago, my friends and I were reading Wolfman and Perez and looking at Dick Grayson and Starfire in bed.
Yeah, I can.
And I don't have a problem either way. It's like, just these characters are made out of rubber. Okay, just calm down.
Yeah, that's my whole thing. And I kind of remember a scene in Teen Titans with Perez and Wolfman having all the Teen Titans in a hot tub.
There you go. Absolutely. They were college kids having fun. They were essentially, they were of age, but they were definitely young. This is what your teens and 20s are like if you're lucky.
Speaking of Teen Titans, what do you think? Are you caught up on the Rebirth series?
I mostly have been reading Titans.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I like it, obviously. It's great to see everybody, including, and I always forget what her superhero name is. What's Lilith's code name now?
I forgot.
Yeah, I always think of her as Lilith.
Same here.
You know, and he's literally, man, that was like when I was first reading comics, was that 15 and 20 cent Teen Titan era, when, like, at the end of their original run, and then a couple of years of them not being around, and them coming back when comics were maybe 35 cents. So Lilith and Narc and all those guys, I mean, they really were like characters that I liked to read when I was growing up, and those awesome oh god, I'm blanking on his name, the wonderful artist that did the covers, Nick Cardy.
Yeah,
That stuff is amazing. You know, I literally took 2 Nick Cardy covers of Aquaman, and a buddy of mine is framing them for me, and they're just, they're 15-cent comics, but they're and they're readers' copies and stuff, but I just love the art so much. I'm like, I gotta get that framed. That's too nice. I have to get those framed.
Yeah, I like his Aquaman work a lot.
Oh yeah, and he did a ton of really good Teen Titans stuff too. It was just very lush in the same way that Gene Colan stuff. I mean, different styles of art, but I just really felt like, and Neil Adams certainly when we first were all exposed to Neil Adams, and you just felt like, wow, art suddenly just like went up a notch.
Yeah.
Steranko is another guy like that, obviously.
Yes. Does Steranko do podcast?
Did he? He's very J.D. Salinger like. Very few guys like Vincent Cerzullo, who is the art auctioneer. Comic art auctioneer.
Yeah.
On his podcast. Even that's been a few years. I've tried to coax him over the years. It's not easy, and that's okay. You know, hopefully it will eventually happen. If not, I've had enough private conversations with Steranko that I'm very content. Like that, I'm happy to like get the spiel that way. But literally, it drives me nuts. A year or two. I don't think it was this year. I think it was the past year in 15 at San Diego Comic-Con. He loves to storytell at his booth, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
And, and I bought someone was buying his Chandler print. It wasn't when I bought it. It was another person buying. And Chandler is his private eye 30s LA detective sort of character and everything. And there's a wonderful one-page image that he did for the Society of Cartoonists, I'm assuming back in the early 70s or late 70s. It was definitely late 70s. And it's one image, but it tells the whole story. And he's like, now, this is a really interesting piece. And if I may, and I'm like, Jim, I've got my recorder right now. Can I just please record this? And if you say no, I'll understand. I said, because I respect the hell out of you. And he's smiling. And he's like, John, I really appreciate you asking me the way that you did. The answer's no. And I'm like, okay, it's all right. Because I don't care. And it's totally, hey, man, he's the magician. He likes to be able to control how his message goes out there. And this is just him extemporaneously telling the story. And he's told it a million times, but he likes to tell it his way. He likes to call the shots. So I will never force myself like that. But I like Jim. Jim is a character. In some ways, he's his own worst enemy at times as well, with dealing with publishers and stuff, and that's kind of well documented. All that said, he's the Orson Welles of comics. That is the right. That's who came up with that title for him, and that's exactly what he is.
Actually, if it wasn't for Bendis, I never would have gotten my start in podcasting, so I love Bendis. If you go back to the early days of Pipette Scott Hines and Fanboy Radio.
Oh, sure. Listening back then, too, absolutely.
I
kind of started working on this, and not in a negative way as far as the response to Fanboy Radio, but I was always like, I wish Scott would ask this, or I wish I'd... And kind of like, why did I do it? So, I mean, Scott was up and running for like 5 years or so, at least, before I think really podcasting started even happening. Maybe 3 years, but it was definitely a couple years of Fanboy Radio before everybody like kind of jumped in 2005, or the at least original wave of podcasting. So, except for, of course, Adam Curry.
Yeah, so where do you see the future of comic book podcasting going? Because it seems like everyone's pooping them out lately.
What do you mean? Oh, there's even more? Are there even more nowadays?
It feels like it.
Well, I really think that the key is it's not starting a podcast. It's, well, let's see what happens in 2 or 3 years if they're still around and they're still doing it and they want to do it. I do think there are new voices, which I think is good. I think that there are more women doing podcasts. There are more people of color doing podcasts, and I think that's all great. I mean, basically, it's up to each podcaster to decide if they have something to say and something unique to say, and how how much do they want to put into getting that out there to an audience, and being content with whatever audience they're able to drum up. In some cases, they might be big audiences. In some cases, I know people that were frustrated after a year and they quit because, well, I only got 500 listeners, and it's like, that's not a small amount. And you might want to stay in the game and try a little harder and stuff. It's hard. It's tough, but I do think that there are still, the community wants to hear about new books, and I do think that creators want to get their message out there, and I think podcasting is a useful way to do it. And it'll sort itself out. I'm not really worried. It's Jesse Owens, run your own race. Don't worry about the guy next to you in the other lane and stuff like that. Just do your thing.
I'll continue to take that advice. Just because I got reinvigorated in the last couple weeks.
Hey, terrific.
What
do you think caused the reinvigoration?
Someone in the state services for the blind pissed me off.
Okay.
And
anger is a stronger emotion to react, and I understand.
And then I was like, I needed to vent, and me being a fan of professional wrestling, I was like, I have a podcast. Why don't I just shoot? And I did an episode where I said that the only reason why this one person has their job is because they're good at fellatio.
Is this a person in comics or a person in wrestling?
That's actually a person who works for the state services for the blind.
Oh my god! Wow!
And I emailed it to him. And,
person that's good at fellatio?
allegedly. And I got their attention, and they finally got everything I wanted done.
Interesting. Nice go. I missed the coverage on that. I've been hearing about everyone at the airport.
Same here. I saw Ben just tweeting about the protests all day.
It's honestly, thank God, and I am so on that side of the protesters. What a terrible chapter in our democracy, and I guess in air quotes, unfortunately, because this is incredibly undemocratic. The good news is, I think the levers of government are responding to the president's executive order and saying, I don't think you can legally do that, and here's why. Because I thought I saw something this afternoon that said that the White House is already starting to backpedal from that initial thing, because it was too wide of a net, and it's too, you can't, God, the staunchest Republicans were on the Sunday shows saying, I don't know if I would have stepped that far. And I don't mean to laugh, because I really do feel, it's horrible and embarrassing as an American that people are coming into this country.
I didn't realize we elected Dr. Doom.
Yeah, no kidding. More Luther. I think, honestly, if Trump is anything, it's your Marv Wolfman Luther. I think so.
Oh, wow, okay.
Definitely more than Dr. Doom. Because Dr. Doom, and you can say Dr. Doom doesn't care, and that's true too. I just don't see, Trump being like, okay, foolish mortals, you'll have to bow down to me. It's implied, but it's not, I think it's much more your Luther of, hey, I'm one of you guys, and, something we all want, right? And then he has his guys in the audience paid to applaud and say, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's, like I said, it's very interesting times that just, I think, has everyone on edge.
Oh, absolutely. And it's, and this is a proper response to a very clear, you've gone too far. Because some of the things I think early on, it's like, all right, I don't like it either, or at least I don't like what he's saying, but let's see, you gotta wait until they act. And then you can protest and please don't do this, but it's only gonna spur them on to do it. And I also think you really do have to have an infraction where again, the levers of government can step in and say, no, that's too far, and you really can't do that, and that's unconstitutional, and we're going to stop you. And I think, like I said, I think that's the good news that has come from this executive order that was so stupid.
Yeah, actually, the day after he got elected, I was on the heavy metal website, and there was like a heavy issue of heavy metal that predicted the Donald Trump wall thing, like back in 1990, and I was like, that's kind of eerie.
Seems to have been a few things like that. I want to say either Futurama or The Simpsons had a future, kind of thing, and they predicted that as well. And God, I'm one of those jerks, in the summer of 2015, saying, well, when President Trump takes over, and then here we are. So it's it certainly was because there is tape of him considering in the 80s and early 90s, I could run for president. I'm sure I could run. I'd be an excellent president. And it's like, all right, well, here we are. I mean, that's the thing. He got the worst thing that could happen. He got everything he wanted. Now what? And this is going to be very interesting. And obviously, this first bunch of executive orders,
Actually, now that one line from The Watchmen rings in my head. What happened to the American dream? It came true.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the comedian, that's right. Yeah, well, that's the thing, man. It's like, okay, there's a group there. We can't deny that there is a part of this country that is going to try and hey, this is what we want. It's like, okay, we'll see what happens. It's very, very interesting. I was a little kid during the Nixon administration. I was a very little kid, and from when I was 4 when he was elected in '68. So I was 8 when he was, or no, I guess 74 is when he was taken out of office. So yes, I was 10. For those 6 years or whatever, yeah. And I was only 10 years old, but I had older brothers and sisters that were teenagers, and they were protester teenagers and stuff. So that's my only real memory. And of course Reagan, but even Reagan operated within the rules. And that's why it's interesting to watch President Trump, because again, even Republicans, and that's what it is going to take, is Republicans stepping up and saying, yeah, listen, that's a little bit too much. That's over the line. And hopefully there's a level of decency enough in the Republican Party to stop it, because they are the party in power. So only Congress, the checks and balances of government, like I said, the levers of government are going to be the only thing that can stop them. That's the courts and that's Congress. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, time will tell.
Yeah. So in the meantime, certainly grist for a bunch of would-be comic book writers to write more stories. It was, in response to Margaret Thatcher's Great Britain that we got V for Vendetta. And it's really amazing because really, even whether you read the comics or even watch the Wachowskis movie, not too far. I mean, we got our security cameras on the streets. We've got the things that they were dreading, that Alan Moore was dreading before they happened in the late '80s and stuff like that. So who knows? Again, unfortunately, interesting times make for interesting fiction. So
yeah, I was. Like I said, saying back in October that I'd never seen the real world look more like a comic book than it does right now. You had at that point you had killer clowns. You had billionaires, egotistical billionaires running for president. I was just like, okay, when's the alien attack coming? That's got to be next.
Or the corporate takeover of states of and seats of government and stuff, and we get that kind of future where Exxon and General Electric and Westinghouse are running things, or whatever. Pick your poison as far as whatever corporate monolith. Microsoft, that's the good news. Bill Gates and Microsoft will come and they'll save us. We'll all be under Microsoft. We'll be that black and white video for Apple. We'll be the guy swinging the hammer at the 1984 computer monitor.
Yay.
Well, that's interesting. Let's talk comics. I'm excited that Art and Franco are going to be doing new Little Archie stuff. To contrast what we've just been talking about. Also, I'm looking at my stack of comics. I have to acknowledge Brubaker and Sean Phillips' Killer Be Killed. What a great... I mean, everything. I'm just a huge fan of whenever those guys get together. They just know what they're doing.
I'm gonna start reading it. I'm gonna wait for trades. I'm a little too far behind.
I understand. Are you a Marvel Unlimited guy?
Yeah, I am.
Do they make it, good for vision impaired people in terms of, is there a way to enjoy them? Narration or whatever?
There's a narration piece, and there is a way for my computer to just read it.
Cool. Okay. Because I really I think that's a great deal. And I'm a big fan of it. And I don't, they're not a sponsor of Word Balloon, but I have to say that they have the right digital model that if you really want to take advantage of it, because I have a ton of lapsed reading friends that want to get back, haven't yet, and some that did, and are like, Jesus, Marvel Unlimited is so great. I'm only 6 months behind, and I have access to everything. Or it seems like virtually everything, and it's like, good for you. And I finally did it, and I haven't really tested the lengths and depths and everything, but so far I haven't been disappointed in terms of old runs that I want to reread. I was rereading Dan Slott's She-Hulk.
I love that run.
Stuff like that, and What If, and the original Invaders run. Went back and read that. So I really, and also again, when it's time to touch base, like Jerry Duggan and I have been talking about a new talk forever, and I know he's busy, and also I think he has some family issues, unfortunately, at the beginning of the year, but likely, we'll talk in February or March, and yeah, that's great, it gives me a chance to just kind of step back and reread his Hulk and a few other things that he did that, I missed the first time and stuff, and I'll be able to catch up and,
Actually, one of my favorite interviews last year was with Scott Polish, the artist on Deadpool.
Cool.
And he actually put me in contact with both Brian and Jerry, which.
Great. They're great. They're good guys. It's cool that they're friends and collaborators. And Jerry on his own, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it's great when he collaborates with Brian as well, but even Jerry on his own has written some really good stuff. He wrote that Western from Secret Wars, that one I thought was really good.
His Hulk run is one of my favorites.
There you go. And I gotta be honest, I'm not a big Deadpool guy, other than the movie. It was always too Bugs Bunny-ish for me to really enjoy when it was out in the 90s and stuff, and in the 2000s. And every now and then, it would get Dan Way. I like Dan Way as a writer, and then when he's writing Deadpool, it's like, all right, I'll read a little bit, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is fine. But I just needed it in small comic doses, not big comic doses.
Yeah, actually,
the ideas that Jerry and Brian were doing in Deadpool, and of course Tony Moore. I love Tony Moore. Mike Hawthorne, another great artist that I love, good guy. But yeah, I don't know. There's always way too much Deadpool. I'm not in the stance for my
like I said, the only way I can no longer stand Deadpool is with cosplay.
Well, that doesn't bother me. That's all right.
I see way too many Deadpools, way too many Harley Quinns.
That's true. That is the majority of who you see. Well, that's okay though. It's all right. I'm happy as hell. I had Paul Dini on and asked him, what it was like seeing the whole Harley phenomenon, and certainly the evolution of Harley from the games and Suicide Squad and stuff. And yeah, he loves it, which is great. And I'd forgotten that he was obviously that he is, the principal writer on all the video games as well. Because I'm like, hey, how about the way they tarted her up and made her into a slut? And he's like, well, I was part of the writing team for that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, you were. I'm sorry. She's a cute little imp,
Yeah.
That Harley. And now it's like, oh, that Harley with very little clothing and, portrayed by one of the most lovely actresses in the planet right now. So.
I didn't watch Wolf of Wall Street after Suicide Squad.
You have not?
No, I watched it after Suicide Squad.
Oh, you have seen it. Okay, there you go.
And I was like,
yeah.
Okay, I see why they casted her. Awesome.
And pretty obvious in Suicide Squad. My God. I mean, she's delicious, if you will.
Um,
If I could be a dirty man for a second. But she's a lovely woman.
all right, test the.
And good actress. You know, I saw Whiskey Tango Foxtrot with her in 30 Rock. Tina Fey.
I have.
And she was great. She was kind of a Lara Logan sort of reporter in the Middle East and stuff. And her character, she did a great job. It was good. So.
Sweet.
There you go, dude.
Have you seen Riverdale yet?
I did. I'm glad you mentioned Riverdale. I liked it. I thought it was a good first episode. Very Twin Peaksy on purpose. And I'm kind of relieved because at first I worried that it was going to be a little more supernatural and not as just, dark mystery, kind of noirish mystery and everything. And I like it. I thought it was fun. What do you think?
I thought it was I watched, out of all the CW superhero shows I watched, it was my superhero comic book show of the week.
I can appreciate that. I would agree with you. Isn't that crazy? Think about that now. We have 5 hours, and actually throw S.H.I.E.L.D. in there as well. So we have 6 hours of weekly television, superhero television, plus in a couple weeks we'll have Powerless, and then also on FX we'll have Legion.
Actually, so that's another.
Of course, Walking Dead, but I was thinking more of the.
Actually, you're forgetting two.
The Strain and what else?
You're forgetting Gotham and Lucifer.
Of course, Gotham and Lucifer. Shame on me on both of those, actually. Here you go. Isn't that crazy?
It's insane.
I have a feeling this is going to be it for Lucifer. It seems like it.
Really, what makes you say that? Even though I'm agreeing with you, because
lack of audience. I mean, it's just it's a really, I think it's a really fun show. And Joe Henderson came from that USA television school of writing in terms of understanding what works and what doesn't and what makes an hour move. And I really like it. I like Mr. Roboto, but or Mr. Robot rather, but I'm thinking more of Mr. Robot. I'm thinking more of the classics like Psych and Monk and even White Collar and the Medicine One, Growing Pain, or whatever it was called. Suits. I mean, they know how to write snappy dialogue and good characters, and I think Lucifer is a fun show like those USA shows. But I also think that there's so much competition for attention that, it's, at the end of the day, it's another Mentalist or, Elementary. I mean, it's Castle. It's, quirky guy with a little something extra solving crimes. And it's just like, I think there's just too many of those shows out there right now.
Exactly. And I actually think it would have been it would have done better on another platform like a Hulu or a Netflix or.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, definitely. And again, you're right, because and I guess those USA shows, they do kind of have a full season, and they break them up into 13, and then they take the break and then come back with the 13, 6 months later or whatever. They seem to be a January to June kind of television network, or December to June. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Royal Pains was the one I was trying to think of.
Yep.
But no, and Gotham is, I've given up. It's its own thing, and that's fine. I'm not as a fan. I do what I used to do with Smallville in the last few seasons, where I watch the finale and I'll watch the first episode of the new season, and then I'll just kind of peek in and say, all right, what's going on? Okay. Oh, is that what they're doing with that character? Okay.
And then, of course, my addiction is the CW stuff.
Definitely.
And it's not just because... Riverdale was amazing.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I'm glad because I think Roberto Aguirre Stars is a good, or however you say his name, is a good writer, and I'm glad that he's found the right vehicle to express himself. Because I think he got a raw deal back in the Marvel Knights days with the Fantastic Four run where they're broke
Yep.
and living in the tenement and stuff, and it's like, no, it doesn't make sense.
To me, it was Archie Comics meets Gossip Girl meets the OC.
Yeah, sure. Pretty Little Liars. I mean, there's a ton of shows. I mean, that Freeform network used to have a ton of shows like that. And Gossip Girl's another good example. Yeah, that's your classic WBCW kind of show.
Yep.
Fine. And really, obviously the superhero stuff is very CW-esque and everything. And at first that worried me with The Flash in particular. Because it seemed like maybe because I'm old, but everyone in The Flash seemed way too young. And but now I'm like, all right, no, it's fine. I like it. I even like Malfoyana and everything. That's all right.
Well, the thing with like Danielle Panabaker, for example, I interviewed her. It's gonna be 2 years ago now, and
Which one does she play again?
Killer Frost.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah, she's adorable.
when I first met her in person, I was like, in my head, she can't be any older than 20.
Exactly. They look like babies. They all look like babies. Even Grant Gustin looks like a baby, for God's sake. How much has he grown? I mean, Jesus, he is like the best Barry Allen, and in the same way that I think Tom Welling really became Superman and everything. And, I think truly, as much as they tried, because there was nothing wrong with Brandon Routh's performance in Superman Returns. He was surrounded by a so-so movie, and that's just what he got. And thank God, he is a great Homer, and I think he's very funny, and I'm really glad. And I liked him on Chuck, too, post-Superman Returns. But Grant, my God, he is the perfect Barry Allen. It took me a while with Amell as Oliver Queen, because I'm used to older Ollie. I'm a not only Denny O'Neil, but I'm trying to think of the other great '70s writers, Mike Grell from the '80s, and I'm forgetting now. Shame on me. One of my favorite JLA writers, not Jerry Conway, Jerry Spates' buddy, Elliot Maggin.
Yeah.
Elliot Maggin and Denny O'Neil informed my view of Ollie Queen. And I like Steve Amell, and he's got a little bit of Ollie's spirit in there, but he's just too young and pretty to be old, middle-aged Ollie Queen.
Alright, you see, it complements my favorite runs of Green Arrow with Kevin Smith and Brad Meltzer, and as much as I make fun of Judd Winnick, Judd.
Yeah, Judd did a great job on Green Arrow, definitely.
And that's where the show is taking a lot of its source material from, so it's nice to see, it's really nice to see it on screen. Have you ever interviewed Judd?
Winnick?
Yeah.
Many times. No, Winnick's another buddy. Yeah, he's got his third volume of Hollow coming out pretty soon. His Young Ages graphic novels that are really fun. They're funny. They've got kind of a Calvin and Hobbes kind of spirit to them and energy, but also because Judd is doing the cartooning, it has a lot of, it's a space alien meets kids concept, and other aliens come to attack this kid that comes to Earth, and I don't want to give any secrets away other than that, and he finds himself in superhero-like action, but it's played for a kid's audience. But as far as the design, the moves that he gives this kid and stuff, it reads like a comic book in a very good way.
Sweet. Like I said, I've eventually I have to reach out to him, and see if I can get something set up, because he's like in my top 15 dream interviews.
Oh man, he's a great guy. He's a terrific guy and stuff. I can put in a word for you if you need me to.
Thank you, man. Because I was watching an episode of The Real World San Francisco, and I was like, he would be the perfect interview.
Awesome.
I was liking the one episode when the whole house was just against Puck. And I was like, I would love to learn the behind the scenes of that stuff.
That's cool. And I loved whatchamacallit, Exiles.
Yeah. And his Barry Ween stuff is great too.
Of course, and Frumpy.
And see, Frumpy,
he's terrific. And certainly his Green Lantern run. I mean, I think Under the Hood is a tremendous Batman story. I mean, Judd knows what he's doing. Judd's a hell of a writer. I love Caper, his mob comic that he wrote in the early 2000s.
I haven't read that since it came out, but I just rewatched Under the Red Hood on DVD because I got it as a quick. I got it as a Christmas gift, and I'm just like, this was a great story.
Oh yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Well, and I guess that might be the Batman movie that they're talking about with Ben Affleck, because that's Jason Todd's Robin costume in the Batcave.
And they alluded to it in Suicide Squad too. So
exactly. So there you go. So hopefully.
I have been selling a lot of the trades lately too.
A lot of John's trades.
Yeah, that under the Red Hood trade sells really good for me.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, I liked even the follow up of with where they kind of explain how he was resurrected, because Jeremy Hahn was the artist and Judd wrote that, and I know that got a lot of bad nerd feelings when Talia and Jason had relations.
I was like, go Jason.
Well, again, it's, I get it, and there's a part of the audience that wants this stuff to stay on the, I think, younger side of PG-13, and I think they would want that. I get it. I think that's fine. I don't see anything wrong with, because I think that the audience is older, and I think they're responsible enough too, that, it's especially like, there are good choices and there are bad choices, and it only makes these characters more interesting when the good guys make bad choices, and that includes Batman and Catwoman and Talia and Jason Todd, and you go through the list, and that's okay. That's good. I mean, I don't advocate obviously abuse, but I do think that it makes Hank Pym that much more of a complex character that's always going to be on him. And I think that's makes him more interesting of a character. I think Leonard Snart as Captain Cold is an interesting character when he decides morally, no, this is wrong, I'm going to side with Wally on this. And it's like, that's cool. That's interesting. God, that Superman and Lex Luthor have had incredibly interesting conversations, especially in their Bronze Age incarnation. And again, Elliot Maggin was responsible for these. But it was where I liked, much like Smallville, that the two grew up together and that they knew each other. They were good friends before shit got bad. And that literally, that's a way that both of them could push their buttons on, with the other guy and stuff like that. More so Lex to Superman. But that was interesting.
That's the one thing I'm really digging with Rebirth right now in Action Comics.
Yep.
He's, Lex wanting to prove that he's a good guy, and that, I guess we're calling it pre-Flashpoint now?
Flashpoint Superman, yeah.
It's just,
I don't know how else you describe him exactly.
it's just like, being so untrustworthy. It's an interesting dynamic.
Well, I think it's great. I think that's the thing. That was my favorite thing about, was it Siege, or was it before? It was, when Dark Avengers, when Norman was in charge, and everyone's kind of grumbling about it, and Spider-Man is like the only one who's like, look, this is a mental case. There's no ambiguity here. He's that screwed up. And then finally, Norman snaps and he's got the Goblin makeup painted on his face. And Spider-Man's just like, told you. So no, it's interesting, and I think that's the great thing is, I love the 52 Rebirth reaction to pre-Flashpoint Superman. I think the whole universe is looking at Superman and saying, can we trust him?
Yeah.
And that's interesting. And meanwhile, the Boy Scouts back, and it's like, all right, now I just got to prove myself to these people. So it's interesting. That was going back to, was it Infinite Crisis, when Earth 2 Superman is talking to Earth 1 Batman. And he's like, Bruce, I know you don't know who I am, but you're the one man I know I can trust. And it's like, oh my, and he's, Batman's like, Jesus, this guy is like looking into my soul, and I don't even know who the hell he is. But it was like that kind of like, oh, you missed that guy. Good stuff.
Actually, I don't know how to call it, but I really like the most recent issue of Titans.
I think I am a little behind. I don't think I picked up the most recent.
I won't spoil.
The tip-off is about Manhattan, obviously, right?
Yeah, well, there's the issue after that where pre-Crisis Superman meets pre-Flashpoint Wally.
Oh, I did buy that. I haven't had a chance to sit down and read that one yet.
Alright, cool. Or, as I'm now affectionately calling him, Ginger Wally.
Yeah. Original Wally.
Ha, Ginger. I like it.
Have they given Wally a new code name, or figured out what they're going to call him?
Not yet.
He's still just Wally in his own little, kind of Kid Flash inspired but Flash colored uniform.
Yep.
Interesting. Too funny. Dude, I'm sorry. I have to run.
Actually, I was going to say, I'm starting to bleed into my quiet hours for everyone else in the house. They'll kill me if I continue.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Actually, then let me end with this. About 10 years ago now, at a San Diego Comic-Con, you, at a panel, said just keep on doing what you're doing. And now I have a very successful podcast, and without you believing in me, and you the guys at Comic Geek Speak, and everyone, just from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Oh, Adam, I'm really glad that's a really nice compliment, and I'm glad that my encouragement had, if it had some impact on you continuing to do it, that's terrific. That's really great to hear. And, no, good luck on your path, man. Frank Santopadre of the Gilbert Gottfried podcast, I think we're called travelers because we really, beyond liking what we like, we want answers. And we go to the people that have the answers and demand that they give them to us. And I think that's great. So there needs to be more people like us that want to hear these stories and get behind what we're getting on the page and get down to where the inspirations come from. So keep up the good work.
Thank you, man. Blind Adam out, and with everyone listen to Word Balloon because it's awesome sauce.
Cool.
All right, take care, John.
All right, bud. Thanks very much. And remind me about Winnick, and I'll give you the info.
All right, sweet.
Take it easy, bud.
Take it easy.
Stop recording.